Pastor Curry, pastor of the Zion Fair Baptist Church, Wilmington's most exciting church, the church that love ya and anything you can do about it. Today with Coffee with Curry, we have Miss Shané Darby, who is currently a councilwoman. And she's running for a state representative position, and we wanted to just have a conversation with her, and we wanted to help validate her candidacy. So why don't you call somebody real quickly, tell them Coffee with Curry is on, and let's get after it. And we're back. As I shared, we have a phenomenal city councilwoman, one who has certainly done well in supporting the 2nd District. I believe that's the district that you're running. You're not running for, but you are part of. And I'm glad to have you with us today, Ms. Darby. It's going to be a joy getting a chance to talk with you, get to know you a little bit better. But the way I really want to do this interview is I want to act as if I don't know you at all. Right. Because somebody is watching and they're wondering, well, who should I vote for? And you're probably one of the most hidden treasures that we have in City Council currently. So tell us a little bit about Shané Darby.
Yes. So I am a Wilmingtonian at heart. I was born and raised in the city of Wilmington. I grew up over North Side. Mount Pleasant was my high school, and then I ended up going to Temple University for college. I really wanted to go to an HBCU, but in my senior year, I got pregnant with my oldest daughter, Sanaya. She's about to be 15 this year.
Wow.
I'm old.
Oh, 15. I didn't know. Wow.
Yeah, so so I ended up going to Temple University for mass communications. I wanted to be a radio host, but I took so many African American study courses there that I was able to declare a second major. And that's when I fell in love with like history.
Yes.
I wanted to be a professor. I wanted to teach, and I ended up doing my master's program in Africana Studies and Psychology. So that translated to me today to being doing behavioral health therapy work.
Okay.
I'm in the Army National Guard. I think I'm in my 10th year. I just got promoted to NCO, which is a non-commissioned officer. So now I'm a sergeant. I'm an E5, and I own my own nonprofit.
Okay.
Black Mothers in Power, which is focused on addressing Black maternal health care. So I have 2 other children that I had later on in life, and I experienced postpartum depression and anxiety really bad. And in that journey and experience, I was able to discover or find out that there were disparity rates in maternal care for Black women. And it didn't matter if you were a Black woman with a master's degree, if you were Serena Williams, if you got social service benefits, if you were a Black woman, you were 2 to 3 times more likely to die and for your baby to die. Wow. And that makes me angry. So I had to take that anger and put it into something, that was productive and that I feel like I was contributing to the solution. So that's like I think you guys will learn more about me as we speak, but that's like a summary if I could think of who I am. And of course, I am a mother. I love being a mom. As I said, I have my daughter Sanaya when I was in high school. And then I have Sky and Sam. They are 7 and 6. One is about to turn 6 in August, so we're planning for a birthday party. So pretty busy.
So you have a whole lot of stuff that I'm happy about. One, I heard you say you wanted to go to HBCU but wasn't able to, but you did go to Temple. And when you go to Temple and being in North Philadelphia, I'm from Philadelphia, and the heart of North Philadelphia, you went to an HBCU.
You know what? I argue that, but a lot of HBCU people not feeling it.
I know, but I am a certified, the oldest historically Black college in the country. I am from that school, and I'm going to certify you as a part of us.
You know what? I appreciate it.
And secondly, you have a child who is born in the month of August, which shares my birth month as well. So we got a lot of connections going on here, and I'm very grateful for that. You also said something that was really touching to me, and that was while you were in high school, you found yourself pregnant, but it did not stop you. Some young person need to hear that because mistakes happen, and not your child's mistake, because I would never even go that route. But it was the act may have been a mistake, but the baby was not. And to be able to rebound to the level you have, and you were able to get your degree from Temple.
Yeah.
And you did a minor in African American studies.
I was able to declare 2 majors.
Oh wow! Yep. Excellent.
Yes. So for me, I don't know, something always in me. I knew that I was going to do something.
Yes.
Right? I always had that drive or passion in me. So even though I got pregnant, everyone tells your life is over. You can't do this anymore, right? It's very discouraging. And at that time, I was embarrassed. I'm literally the first person on my mom's side of the family to be born here. And when foreigners come here, they come for education. Yeah. They come for you're supposed to do a better life. So I was kind of I kind of they thought I messed it up for them, right?
Right.
So, you know, I was embarrassed, all
Right.
shamed, all of those things.
Yeah.
So it was a difficult time looking back at it, but I knew that it didn't define me.
Absolutely.
Right? That was not who I was. And I knew, like, a lot of the statistics that come with being a young mom, I envisioned bigger for me and more.
Yes.
So I was like, it's something I'm going to do something. And, like, I wanted to go to college. So I was like, I got to find a way. And then after having my child, my family was very supportive. So I never, like, I don't like when people are like, I'm like self-made. I did this on my own. Like, no, I had my mom behind me, my family behind me, my community behind me. And for me, it was that transition. I'm looking back. It was just, I just knew it was something I had to do. Like, I had my daughter December 24th, and I went back to school like January 20th. Like,
absolutely, great.
I was right back into it, right?
Yes.
So it was an experience. So I would say, like, never give up. Like, you can you might be delayed. I might not have the same college experience as most people because I couldn't live on campus, right?
Yeah, okay.
I had to stay. I had got my own apartment. I had to live off campus. You know, I try to experience as much as I can, like college life and being young and, you know, going to parties and study, like all of those things I experienced.
You didn't miss nothing.
I feel like I did, you know. I didn't get the experience at the level as someone who lived on campus and didn't have other responsibilities. But, you know, sometimes you make decisions and you got to go a little different routes than other people. But I was able to graduate on time with 2 degrees, right? You're able to still do those things. So it's not impossible. There is possibility. But one thing I do want to say is that I had a lot of support.
Yeah.
So that made a big difference.
Yeah.
I had support from both sides of my daughter's family, from her father's side and from my side.
So
I just want to say it was my support system.
You know, this is not a worship service, but one of the things that you're saying things that's triggering me, and I'm very grateful for that. There's a scripture that says, and we know that all things work together for the good. While you may have been shamed for the moments that you had to live through that time in your life, but you did something with it and you turned it around, which says to whoever is watching us, you don't have to stop at your mistake or at your dilemma in life. You keep moving, you keep pressing. And you talked about the fact that you weren't able to enjoy college life to the level that you probably really wanted to. But do you know that most people who enjoy it to the highest tend to don't do well in their academics?
Yeah, of course.
So because I remember, I'm starting to reflect, to be honest with you. My freshman year was horrible. I tell people how I graduated well, but in between it was some trying moments. So we are grateful. And it has made you to be the woman that you are today. And I'm grateful about that. And I hope that the people who are watching us will see you beyond just being a black woman, but being a woman of power, of substance, of change. And that's what's happening. You've not really been out in the public trying to get your name in writing, but many things you've done in the city council have been noted and have been noticed. And we're grateful for that. And it comes out of your struggle. And I'm grateful for that too. So as we continue in this conversation, I'm just really you done threw me all the way away from where I was going with it. But I'm grateful that you said about your mom and the support system, because in this segment I really like focusing on the person. And you talked about even your daughter's family. They were supportive. Can we just have a little bit more of that? Because people need to see the totality of Shané Darby.
No. So I definitely want to say, like, on my mom's side of the family, they first, like, I'm literally the first one to be born here. My mom is from Jamaica.
Okay. So
I'm first generation American on my mom's side. And I want to say, like, my mom was very big on me reading, like, Black history, African American history in the household. She used to make us do book reports and read up on different people and watch different movies about our history. And she always talked about being Black, like what it meant to be Black in America. So I think that kind of shaped me. And we were a part of an organization called the Caribbean Cultural Organization of Delaware. My family was. So I saw a lot of, like, people helping each other, right? So, like, if someone comes from home, which is like Jamaica, and they came here, there was a lot of support that people from the community, you didn't even have to really be related to them by blood, but it was a lot of support that people put around that person. And I think just witnessing those things kind of shaped me to who I am today in regards to how we respond to community. And I think that was instilled in me from a child without even, like being pushed on me, right? So like my family, they're very supportive of anything that I do. Any journey that I take, they're pretty supportive of me. And along the way, I may disappoint them in certain things, but for the most part, they're there. And then my kids, their dad's side of the family, they're from Wilmington. They're alums. I don't know if you know any alums.
Yes, I
But
have some about members of our church.
yeah. Y'all all related to each other here in Wilmington. So
not y'all. I'm from Philadelphia.
You say you're from Philadelphia.
But I hear you, and you're absolutely correct. I just have a lot of in our congregation.
And they would watch my daughter while I was in class and pick her up and come see her. Like, so I had support on both sides. Good. And I think that's so key and important for me to say, because a lot of times people see and they're like, oh, she was able to overcome this. But if I was by myself, it would have, I'm not saying I would not have been able to complete it, but it probably would have took me longer. I probably would not been able to stay at Temple University. I probably would have went to like a community, or like somewhere closer. Like, but because when you don't have support, you're not able to, I think, do certain things.
So would you agree that maybe instead of talking about people who made mistakes, help them, and they will probably be able to turn and do well?
Yeah. So when people even when I think of like teen moms or young moms, and a lot of people turn their backs on them, I think that's the wrong time.
Absolutely.
To turn your back on your child. I get it, because I have a 14-year-old and I would be devastated if she got pregnant within the next 4 or 5 years of her life as a young person. I would be devastated, but I know for sure that turning your back on someone, any situation, I think it's hard. I think definitely create boundaries. Don't forget what happened, whatever that moment or situation that person did. But I think providing whatever support you can is key and important to that person actually thriving. Because we're not defined by anything that happens to us at all. Like, nothing defines me. Me, like, I enjoy, like, everything for me. Like, I love being Black, but that does not define everything.
Absolutely.
I love being a woman, but that doesn't define everything who I am. Like, I love those things or anything that I have been through or struggles, but it doesn't define me as a person, because I am me within, right? So... yeah.
Excellent. I mean, you just go ahead. I was ready to throw a handkerchief at you or something, because that is so helpful for some grandmother who's watching, for some mother who's watching, who children may have made mistakes. You are a good illustration of what a rebound can be. But it took support. And I've heard you say it several times, not trying to take all the credit, or as Clarence Thomas said, I pulled himself up by his own bootstrap. No, you had people to help you. You had people to give you a bootstrap, and that's good. And you seized on the opportunity. And I think that's really good. And I think that's what we need in leadership. And that could be why you have such a passion for some of the things that you have passion for. And we're going to get to those in the next segment of our show. But it's also important for people to hear that you're not defined by a thing. The totality of your life is made up of many things, and that's awesome. Yeah. So I'm sure you have 2 daughters or
3 daughters.
3 daughters. You have no sons.
No son.
Okay, that's strike one. That's gonna be your first strike. We got to get you a son.
I gotta get a husband first.
I thought, okay. Well, get your husband and tell him it's time. Put a ring on it.
I need
if you watch it, put a ring on it. You know who we talking about. We ain't gonna say your name, not Lum, but we just saying what we saying. Okay? But I just wanted to say thank you first for coming. This first segment is always about the person. You gave us a clear understanding of the person. And your passion is birthed out of the person, out of what you have been through and able to survive. So helping with legislation on the state level, city level, all of that feeds out of where you came from. Yeah. So I'm very grateful. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about city council. Not so much negative, because whatever you decide to speak on, you can speak on. But I want to make sure they see you, the shaker, the mover, the trendsetter, the torchbearer, the trailblazer, who's up and ready to move forward as you're trying to get to the next level, which is to the state level. Yes. And we're going to be pushing, kicking, and doing all we can to make sure that it happens. Yes. We'll be right back.
My name is Shané Darby, and my nonprofit is Black Mothers in Power, and I am the founder and executive director. Our mission is to eradicate racial health disparities that exist throughout the state of Delaware for Black mothers and Black babies. Black Mothers in Power has been a member for Dana for about 2 years. Black Mothers in Power became a member with Dana as a new nonprofit here in the state of Delaware to get support as we were developing a board, setting up our programs and services for the community. With my team, Black Mothers in Power, we were able to reorganize probably 2 times within the last 2 years after talking about the needs that we needed on our nonprofit. We needed people who were strong in marketing. We needed people who were strong in social media to be on our board. And we knew that we did not need a 15-member board, and we downsized to 7. So we were able to talk about these challenges and come up with new ideas and ways for us to move forward and thrive as a new nonprofit. Dana was able to hire a consultant to work with Black Mothers in Power for board governance. So currently we have a consultant who comes to our board meetings to help guide us on how we should run our meetings, what should be included in our meetings, what documents we need. We're currently working on our bylaws. We have been working on them for 2 years, so to have a consultant come in to help us move that forward is going to really provide us with the foundational background that Black Mothers in Power needs to be a thriving nonprofit here in the state of Delaware. Black Mothers in Power was able to participate in Dana workshops around funding, advocacy, and how to be organizers in the community to recruit members. One of the Dana workshops that was so beneficial to the work that Black Mothers in Power is doing now is about grant funding. We were able to find resources and websites to go find local, state, and federal grants that would help support the programs, the services, and the operational foundation for Black Mothers in Power. Throughout these difficult times and going through a pandemic and just being a nonprofit facing those challenges, Black Mothers in Power was able to thrive through a lot of the programs and services that we were able to provide. Our doula training program, we just graduated 10 Black women who are now doulas throughout the state of Delaware to address the racial disparities that exist in our state. We also started our postpartum program where we're able to work with mothers in a postpartum stage on getting them connected to resources and services in the community to provide them with the support needed after having a baby. We also were able to launch our Relief Fund program, where we were able to service over 500 families in Newcastle County to getting them connected to diapers, Pampers, laundry cards, bus cards, paying their cell phone bills. We were able to meet some immediate needs during the COVID pandemic. Dana took on a role with Black Mothers in Power, I feel like an advisor or someone to guide you through the process. If I had questions about where do I get business insurance from, I reached out to Dana. How can I find more grant funding? Like, those were the questions that I went to Dana to. So I look at them as an advisor who's able to guide me through the process of being a nonprofit, being able to provide programs and services to the community. So I look at them really as an advisor to Black Mothers in Power. I really see us in the future being able to expand our programs and services to reach the whole state of Delaware. Most of our services are in Newcastle County, so I would love to extend them out to Kent and Sussex County. I also envision one day of starting a birth center here in the city of Wilmington so that we're able to provide more services and birthing options for people throughout the state of Delaware. Dana will continue to be the advisor that we need, someone to reach out to in every single step of the way of having a nonprofit. If you're a new nonprofit, you should join Dana because of all of the great services and programs that they have to offer for nonprofits in our community. They offer workshops, networking opportunities, and ways for you to get engaged in the community.
Wow, what a great first segment, and we're back, and I'm just excited to have Sister Shané Darby. I done changed her from being from the historically white colleges to the historically Black college.
Yes.
I done moved her out of that zone of shame. Now she's most powerful in that whole thing. Now we move into talk a little bit about City Council. And you know, I'm one of the greatest critics that City Council has, okay? And because I know we can do better and we can have more. But I've noticed that you tried your best to be fair but understanding, but yet you don't bend too much. And that's what I liked about you. Tell me a little bit about your experiences in or on City Council.
Yeah, so I'm going to start off kind of like why I ran, right? So I came back home from my master's program at Temple University, and I was trying to find housing.
Okay.
And trying to find a home to rent was hard in Wilmington.
Okay.
And the places that were available for you to rent was ran down and overpriced, in my opinion. So I knew there was a struggle there. There was a struggle in me trying to get benefits when I came back with social services. I ran into all of these different struggles coming back home. And then I also realized that my neighborhood looked different where I grew up.
Okay.
When I was younger, like, we had issues. It wasn't perfect. There was violence and different things happening. However, I felt like it was escalated. Like, it was more of it happening. I also never witnessed a whole block of vacant homes, like in Northside. Like on like 2720, like where I like that wasn't a thing growing up. Like, so I realized like the neighborhood was transforming, and then I realized downtown and Riverfront looked different. And I'm no hater on development. However, I'm for equal.
There you go.
Equitable development, right? It can't just happen and be concentrated in one area. You have to disperse it out evenly for all neighborhoods to thrive. If you don't put money into neighborhoods, they cannot thrive. They need funding, they need resources, they need support to thrive. And I think that kind of goes back to like the support I have for me to thrive as a person.
There you go.
Neighborhoods need the same thing, and that's not happening across Wilmington, right? So for me, I saw that and analyzed that. And I became a homeowner. I bought a home in the 2nd District. And I realized that I wanted to run for city council. I was like, I realized a lot of the things that I care about or wanted to do, I had to go through an elected official. We wanted a stop sign, like on our civic association, elected official. Needed sidewalks fixed, elected official. And I never paid attention to politics. I couldn't even tell you what district I was in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I didn't pay attention to politics.
Understood.
Like I probably could barely tell you who the mayor was. Like I had no interest in politics. I did not pay attention to politics. This is not something that I was like, oh my gosh, when I get older, I want to be a city council person, right? That was not on my mind frame at all. But when I started to like kind of be on the civic association, I'm a homeowner, and I only thought this is false, but I thought civic associations was only for homeowners.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I joined one, because I'm like, I'm a homeowner now. Let me see what's going on. Because I don't know where I got that perspective
from.
it
speaks to your disconnect because of the fact that you basically, you just wanted to be a good citizen. You didn't care about all the politics and all those structures.
Yeah, so but I learned like everything we wanted to do was connected to politicians. And that's where the money was, the funding was. So I was like, how do I learn about it? So I started joining these different groups, Network Delaware, these social justice groups, and I realized it was city council and state level. And really, I love Wilmington. So I was like, I don't want to go state level. I want to run for my city. So I ran for the city council. And one of the things that I really wanted to focus on was housing, right? So looking at like trying to get affordable housing, improving the housing stock that we do have, improving our relationship with landlords, right? Making it a more positive relationship than making it something negative, or deeming them to lump them up as all being bad landlords, right? So like having those conversations and doing those type things like around housing, and even connected to housing, a big issue for me was recently water billing, right? So I'm looking to have kind of like income-based water billing so that people can afford their water bill. Wilmington, we used to have quarterly water bills, right?
Right.
And now we went to monthly. And I know for a fact what I pay monthly was what I used to pay quarterly. Right?
Yeah.
And they never really explained anything to the community to why, what happened. Did our water improve? Do we have a bigger water system?
Oh, absolutely not.
Right. So like, what's going on, right? So those are the conversations I'm having. Like, what is going on with the water billing? Can we have income-based water billing? And I really asked that. I don't think we should shut people's waters off, right? I think that's inhumane. I think it's cruel to cut people's waters off. And no one agreed with me on council because they feel like it would have been a fiscal impact by not shutting people's waters off. So my argument was that I'm not saying don't go after them for payment. I'm saying let's just not cut off their water. So then I got to the point where I'm like, okay, let me just focus it on like very vulnerable groups of people. So seniors, people who are living on disability checks, and people who have children under the age of 5. Let's not cut their water off. Let's find a different or better ways to find money from them to pay for their water bill versus than just cutting it off completely. Because what happens is when your water gets cut off, they deem your house uninhabitable.
Right.
So you have to leave.
Right.
Do you know how hard it is to find rentals in the city of Wilmington? Talk about trying to come up at the last minute a security deposit for 3 months. You pay $1,000, you got to try to come up with $3,000 to move.
And you couldn't pay your water bill.
And you couldn't pay your water bill. So how am I even going to do that, right? So it leads to this like another issue of homelessness, right?
Yes.
And who's homeless?
Yes.
Like, so it's this like trickle down effect that I see, and I think that the city of Wilmington or city council, I think we have more power than we realize we have. Because a lot of times I hear, oh, city council has no control over that. We can't do anything, right? So I think we have way more power than what we deem to be, and that I don't even know about. As I've learned, I'm like, oh, we could do that, right? So like learning those things, and I think as a city council, we have a bigger voice because we make legislative decisions, and I think about that too with the Wilmington Police Department. So like trying to find ways to reform it, right, and to make it better in how they interact with this community and how the community interacts with them. And for me, I think to hit people or to make people change, you got to hit them where their pockets are, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So for me, as of right now, I vote anything no to the police budget, right? I'm not even going to lie. And the reason why is not because I don't think police need some of the things they're requesting, but I feel like we should make a point and say, no, we won't give you anything else until you make changes internally and externally into how you're, one, dealing with their black police officers within their department, because there's a lot of strife and stress there, and then how you're dealing with the black and brown people that you are supposed to be protecting and serving outside of here. Until then, as a city council, we hold that power, but they're not willing to use that power to say, you know what, we think you need these things, some of them, right? We can agree, but we're not going to vote anything until you change those internal processes and procedures to how you're treating our people in our community. Now, that right there will be powerful if city council could do that, but we're not going to do that.
You're on my street, and let me just say, as you're talking, you continue, but I agree with you 100% of the level. How you use your power is just as good, it's just as powerful as the power you have. So if you do not stand for something, then you're going to keep falling for everything. And what you said clearly, and I want to make sure my viewers, especially my seniors who vote, to hear what she's saying. She didn't say that, no, there's no need for police and cut the police out. What she's saying is there needs to be some reform. What she's saying is there need to be, until we can get A, B, and C done, we don't need to be adding on D, F, G, H, and W. So that's all she's saying. And I think that type of consciousness is what's missing from city council.
And I agree. I definitely agree. I think it's just, I think we need younger people. And I'm not even that young. I'm 33. I'm like young old.
That's young, sis.
I'm young old. 30, your knees start hurting. You gotta take naps.
All right.
But
you gotta take naps.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, help her.
You need naps. You need naps. But like, I'm even thinking like the Gen Zs, like the younger, like those 20-year-olds, like they got fire and passion in them. That I admire about them, right? And I think embracing them into the process and having a mixture of new people, old people, but when it's the same people, and not even the same people in regards to like name, but the same connected people. Because most of the people on city council are pretty new within the last 2 terms. However, they're the same connected people to older city council people or other people in government. Like everybody is connected, and it's all based on relationships too. Because you would know that this person has a great policy, but you won't vote for it because your friend said no. Right? So for me, as a city council person, I don't care who puts up a legislation. If it's good for my community, I am going to say yes. So we have a Republican, like let's say Councilperson James Spadola. He had a great legislation about having no quotas for police officers at the end of the month for like tickets and stuff. I love it. Listen, like I love it. I voted yes. I voted yes to that because that's a great piece of legislation that will help with police and community interaction in our community. So I would say yes. But if they don't like you, or they don't like the things that you're saying, they will vote no to everything you say, and they will purposefully exclude you from things. So that's what I'm experiencing, that I am not fully a part of a lot of processes on city council because I'm being purposefully excluded from it because I don't conform, or I'm not going with the just get along of what they're saying or what they want to do. Because people would say, what team are you on? What side are you on? Because there was teams or sides created. But when one side creates something, they automatically group everybody on this side. Right? I'm not on a team. I'm not on a side. I am willing to work with anybody and everybody and do the right thing. I don't care what side it is. But when they're playing chess, we're not playing any games. They look really strong and strategic in everything they're doing, where we just look like We just filling our fingers over here.
But you know what? Some people are noticing. You said a couple powerful things that I want to make sure that I reiterate to hear, so that the people can hear it. Number one, you talked about some people are, and this is me talking. This is not Shané Darby talking, so don't charge it to her. Charge it to me. You talk about how some people are connected to people. Even though the city council, there's a shift in the people that's there. But there are still some who are on that city council who have been there for a while.
I agree.
And they need to go. Okay. I'm saying that. Well, you saying you agree, but I'm saying that. And I talk about certain people, but they control it. It's like the grandmama and the granddad of city council. And if you're not a part of that, you don't win. You don't get anything through. It is very much noted. And people are starting to pay attention. But you also said something. With this new generation coming along, I encourage them to run. Because they're not connected. Now, the Wilmington way they taught me was you got to do it our way or you don't survive. They told me that junk too. Some preachers told me that. If you don't do it our way, you ain't going to be able to do nothing. Well, they still, with their 2 members, and the Lord has blessed me with many, many more. I've learned something. When you stand for something, you will do well. That's why I'm hoping that you do well, even with this state representative position that you're running for, because you have a single focus, and that is the people you serve. That's important. Not getting in there being a crony for somebody's agenda who can care less about black people. I don't want to. This is my. You're supposed to be talking. I'm sorry, but I'll get started because I get angry quickly when we have people we have voted for and said, "Look, we need you to help us, help our community," and what they end up doing is getting on one of the cliques and doing nothing.
And I agree. And I even think like me running for state representative is all of those things, the reason why. And I realized a lot of things that were happening on the city level was actually connected to the state level.
Yes.
And then you have Wilmington delegates who are from the state who also do things to protect Wilmingtonians. And I didn't see it happening on a grand scale. It might have been individuals, but I didn't see it happening amongst all of the state representatives. So I realized that when someone proposed to me and said, hey, you want to run for state representative? First, I wanted to say no, because I don't want to get involved in state stuff. I really don't, because I really care about my city. But I feel like I can make a bigger impact. I feel like I'm kind of stuck on city council. And I feel like I can make maybe a bigger impact on state, learning those ropes and what I can do on that end. And I'm just there for the people.
Right.
Like, I'm not looking to be a part of anybody's cliques. I'm not looking for any extra money for somebody just to vote a certain way. I'm looking to just do the right thing. And I think when people talk about politics, they think of it as some grimy thing. And I hate the word. I hate when people call me a politician. I really do. Because I'm really not a politician. Like, I like to use the word. I'm a public servant. I'm a legislator. Those are the things that I am. Because I don't want to be a part of that culture. And I hate when people say, that's just the way it is. You just got to go with it. No, I don't. I guess I'll just be on the outside then. I'll be excluded because I'm not doing that.
You know, and you know, even though I agree with you that you're not a politician, because I one time I was on a debate stage with a politician and he was trying to overtalk me, and I made it very clear that you are, I told him he was the exemplary of what a politician is. Poly, from the Greek meaning many, tick, bloodsucker. That's what he's a part of, the many bloodsuckers. And that's what politics mean in my world when I break the word down. And what happens is, yes, you are a public servant because you're still listening to the people who have put you there. You're trying to help your community get better, stronger, and you're not going to join the cliques. And the time that you've been on city council, you're proving it. People say, well, she hasn't earned her stripes. What do you mean? I don't understand. And I've heard that kind of language. And that's why I didn't know you that well, but I will defend any person who is trying to work for their community. And I'm glad whoever, and we don't need to know who came to you and said, look, why don't you think about this state level? Because we need help. We need help, and it will send the message. It will send the message that we're not taking it anymore. Once you're successful in this, you don't know the level of success you're going to show all of us, because other people are going to start shaping up. You do make a difference. We're going to make a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about this state representative side as well. Okay. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Shané Darby, and I represent the 2nd District. I'm here to talk with you about an ordinance I just introduced during the last City Council meeting. As you may know, Wilmington has some serious problems when it comes to housing and we don't have enough safe, quality, affordable housing across this city. I believe access to safe, quality, affordable housing is a right and not a privilege. I am working hard with many in the community and on the council to help create better conditions to support increased availability of this kind of housing. The ordinance I introduced will require people who buy residential rental properties to pay for a business license at property settlement or when they purchase the property. This legislation enforces the already existing law that every landlord must have a business license. At the time they get a business license, the Department of License and Inspections should schedule an inspection that would take place before the property is even rented out. The inspection is important because it will increase the chances of renters having a safe, secure place to live that is in compliance with all city government requirements. Having a business license helps the city easily identify who is a landlord in order to enforce laws that guarantee that renters live in a safe and livable dwelling. It may sound easy to do, but it's not. The city has a very difficult time figuring out who some of the landlords are in some situations that should not be the case. We should not have to guess who is responsible for maintaining housing in Wilmington. Further, we need to be able to easily and directly contact landlords who are allowing their properties to fall into unsafe and unhealthy conditions. With this new process, we can ensure that from the time a person purchases a property with the intent on becoming a landlord, that they know and understand the requirements for renting property and that they are in compliance with the law. This ordinance will also help the city to collect the proper revenue of business license fees from people who are landlords. As you probably know, it's been hard for the city to enforce some of its requirements around housing because some landlords are not doing the right thing. I want to make it hard for bad actors to rent properties in our great city. We all deserve better than absent landlords who don't follow the rules. I welcome your feedback and input. Please give me a call and let me know what you think about this ordinance or housing in Wilmington in general. City's council office number is 302-576-2140. Again, I am Councilwoman Darby and I represent the 2nd District. Thank you, Wilmington.
And we're back. Great conversation. This is just refreshing for me. I'm sitting in glory, as they say in church. But Sister Darby, and you don't mind me calling you Sister Darby because I moved from sister to city councilwoman. But someone came to you and they said, have you thought about it? And you basically was like, well, let me stick with where I am. But something inside of you said, you know what? I think I can make a difference. Talk to me a little bit about,
Yeah, so one, it was the area that it covered.
Okay.
So I grew up in North Wilmington, and the 1st District for state representative is the entire North Wilmington.
Okay.
And Trolley Square. Okay. So I was like, okay, I can still advocate for the issues that I'm advocating for because it still encompasses the whole 2nd District in which I represent now. Mm-hmm. And then the 1st District is pretty similar to some of the issues 2nd District is having. And I was like, I can learn about Trolley Square, see what's going on over there. That's a totally different community than the 1st and 2nd. Mm-hmm. But I was like, okay, I can learn this. This sounds cool. And then another thing for me was that a lot of things that was happening on city council needed state approval or changes. So I was like, wait, number 2. Number 3 for me was actually the current state representative. Mm-hmm. He was at a meeting about eminent domain. Yeah. And he said, if you don't like what I'm doing, run against me.
Oh, wow. He opened the door for you.
Right? Mm. So that pushed me, right? Yeah. And then looking at, and I do want to say this, is that the current person I'm running against, I want to say great community person in regards to the art they do in the community with the poetry. However, I don't agree with the way that they're voting on policy. Right? I'm keeping it strictly policy, absolutely, not on anyone's character, just policy. Yeah. Right to council, which would have protected tenants in regards to the eviction process, they voted no to. Yep. Right? Those things I care about and are near and dear to my heart. Eminent domain, being able to take vacant properties for private use, I was not feeling that, right? Eminent domain is usually for public use. We need a hospital for our community. We need a school. We need something that will benefit the community, right? Those things is what eminent domain should be used for, which is currently on the books already, or in the law for us to use. However, using it for private consumption scares me in a lot of ways, because we look at the pattern of development that's happening already in our city, and all I could do is go by what someone shows me over and over and over and over, and I can't expect anything different after they did it 10 times in a row, right? So all I can expect is going to be the same type of development where it's unaffordable for most people.
Yes.
Right? The people who are building it are not from Wilmington or not Wilmingtonian. So let's talk about local hire and how we need to hire our people and give them the skills they need to build our own city. Not happening. People being able to live in those apartments. It's a lot of outsiders, and not saying I'm against outsiders or anything, but it's a lot of outsiders who moved in downtown in the riverfront area, right? So it's not, I have not seen a big benefit for the community that lives here by the development that's happening around us, right? So for me, running on a state level, I feel like I could be able to still address those things and talk about Wilmington. So, yeah.
Wow. You said so much. I don't want to take too much of your time, but it's first the person opened the door and you walked in. Voting, how a person vote does speak to where they are.
I agree.
So if you are voting against the things that the majority of your constituents are for, that's a problem. You talked about 3 different areas, that the state representative would cover. The only one that you said you wasn't too sure of, but you're going to learn it, and you're going to love the people, and you're going to make sure you represent them as well, is Charlie Square.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think we could be unbalanced by giving Charlie Square everything and giving the other 2 districts nothing.
Correct.
And I think that's the anger. I have members all over the city, county, and even state, and some of them coming from Philadelphia. And one of the constant complaints is that when certain people run for office and get in, and they look at the voting track record, it is not reflective of the city, the heart of the city.
The heart of the city, yeah.
Especially being an African American, especially being a person who says you want to help your people, lift them out of poverty. And I think this whole eminent domain, I would take on the rest of your time. So I don't even want to go there.
Yep.
I have a serious, because I am one who is now understanding about this regentification that's going on here in Southbridge, and not only in Southbridge, but all of this with this whole eminent domain for private use. Be real.
Yeah.
Be real.
Yeah.
This is why they need it as a state to vote on, because it already got it for the public. If you're going to take it and you use it for public, fine. But then they build houses that no one in that community can afford. Yeah. So we're on the same page. And I hope all of you are listening and not just going off of favorites. Sometimes, this is a nice young lady, or this is a nice young man. Look at the substance of what they're doing. They both have been in what I call public service. You see the voting records. And if you don't, ask them, what are your voting records on things that are near and dear to your heart? And that will help you to see, where they are. I don't want to take too much of your time, because I'm just enjoying you so much today, and I'm glad I had an opportunity. I've never had an up close. I went over to the Twin Brown show once, and you were there. But beyond that, I've not really had an opportunity to really talk to you. I've watched some of the things you've done. I watched your moves. Don't you ever think nobody's not watching, because they are. And there are people who are praying that others will come on the council to do well. Question for you before we go back to the state level. Do you have anybody in mind to try to help it? Because I believe you're going to have victory. Do you have anybody in mind, or will it be where they have to vote the special session? How does that work if you were to win this election?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But right now what happens is that city council selects who gets into my seat.
Okay.
However, we did vote, and most of us all agreed that we want to have special elections going forward. Okay. However, we need someone on the state level to pass it. So hopefully, I don't know if we could do this, but let's say I will win. And then in January, I go down there. That could be one of the first piece of things that I pass, and then we can have a special election for the second
we need that.
I prefer a special election, because even with the selection we just had for the at-large position, I feel like it was it was a waste of time to sit there and hear people interview. Not because I didn't want to hear from them, but there was already a set person who was going to be there. So they wasted a lot of people's time. Who wanted to be a part of city council, but it's really about who you know and who the majority wants on council.
Well, you know, according to what we are seeing, the head honcho has the amount of votes they need to get whatever they want.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter whether it's a seat, whether it doesn't matter if it's a budget, doesn't matter. They got who they. But I'm glad that regardless of that, you're still maintaining. So let's go back to the state side of it. So you decided, yes, I'm going to run, and you didn't get in it to lose. You have been successful in your quest. You've been able to break down all barriers that came in your way in the past. Where are some of the challenges? And we're going to talk about how we can donate, because my name is going to appear on your donation list. Okay. I'm going to say that on the air, because I only support individuals who I believe is trying to work for the community that we serve, that we live in. And my church is in the heart of the community, and I want to make sure that they are being treated right. But what are some of the challenges that you may be experiencing right now?
Challenges in regards to like council or state rep?
I think, no, if you're running for state rep, is there some forces that are trying to harm or cause you any problems, or if it's just finances? Tell me what you think you need.
So I want to say that I think a lot of people are conflicted about me running.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of people who support me privately.
Okay.
And can't support me publicly.
Okay.
Because of all the connections and relationships and everyone knowing each other here in the state, and especially in our city.
Okay.
So I want to say that is like one challenge, like knowing people who privately are supporting you can't publicly support you. Right?
Can I stop you right there?
Yes.
For those of you who are watching, go ahead and smile in the face of whoever you need to smile in their face. But when you close the curtains, please make sure you vote conscience and competence. Okay? I'm not a campaign manager, but I think it's important. I think it's important that you understand that our sister, she's not one of the in people. So quite natural if you come out, quite natural that the pastor said he's going to give a donation right away, that you may not be able to do that. But what you can do is you can make sure you are telling people the truth, and you can vote when that curtain closes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, no. And then outside of that, I would just say currently right now it's just finances. So we raised about $6,000 in about 2 weeks.
Oh.
So we're working to keep raising money. I probably need like $20,000-$30,000 to run like a successful campaign.
Okay.
So we're going to have a few fundraisers throughout the month of August. I'm doing call time, raising money. And then we need people who can knock doors in the community. So if you live in the community or care about the community or want to be a part of the campaign, you can come out and knock doors with me or with someone on a campaign team, and then making phone calls. So also, if you can't walk, right, it's hot out here, you want to sit in a building or sit home and make calls, we have space and opportunities for that too. So those are the three main things: money, phone calls, and knocking doors. Like that is how you win a campaign, is direct voter contact.
Now, how do I get in touch with Shané Darby or her team so that I can join the party if I wanted to be a part of your campaign?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram and on Facebook. It says Shané Nicole Darby. That's my candidate page. You can inbox us. You can shoot me an email at snidarby@gmail.com if you're interested in helping out on the campaign, and I can get you connected to my campaign manager.
Now, for my seniors, I can hear them saying real loud, "I don't do Facebook. I don't do email. What's the phone number?" Do you have a phone number that you can give them today, or can we get back to them?
We can get back to them.
All right, we'll have it on. Matter of fact, we're gonna our team will make sure it's on the screen in the next couple of seconds. You will see the phone number to how you can call directly, because it's important that all persons, like you said, a senior may not want to get out and walk, but the senior may want to get on the phone and say, "Hey, vote for her." So we're gonna have that phone number for you too. Great, thank you so much for that. Now, Charlie Square. I know we need them. We need them. How can you get in there to try to understand their needs and wants, so they won't feel like you're running for the other two districts and not for them?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a balance.
Yeah.
So one of the first doors that I knocked this weekend was in Charlie Square.
Okay, good.
Right?
Good.
So I went to Charlie Square, and my first questions on the door is, what do you care about? Because I think a lot of times we go to the door and we do a lot of talking
Mm-hmm.
about what I care about, but I
Right.
don't know what you care about. What do you want? Like,
Good.
what does this community need,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm open to representing everybody,
Good.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But not at the expense of like not representing the other group, right? So I'm for representing both. So I just ask at the doors, what do you care about? What would you like me to focus on? And then if I agree with those things, I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. Or I already, talk about a lot of women, like women's issues. Like I already
Good.
talk about women's issues.
Okay.
I'm already there
Yeah.
with you. So being able to find a way for me to connect with that community on the issues they care about, that's all really what you need to do with anybody. Like, even if someone is a totally different identity as you, because a lot of people are like, how can you relate to an old white person, right? That was one of the questions someone told me, and I said, well, we all are human, and we can find something that we care about, right? I think most people care about crime.
Yeah, oh yeah.
No matter age, color, religion, creed, we care about crime, right? Care about housing. There's some very basic things I think that we all can care about. Education for our kids. And Trolley Square, women's issue was a big thing. It's a lot of young white liberals there, right? So it was just connecting with them on what they care about.
Yeah.
So I'm going to continue to knock doors just the same way I'm knocking doors in the 1st and 2nd district. And I want to listen to them to say, hey, what do you care about? How can I incorporate that in what I'm doing on a state level?
Yeah. Now, earlier you were joking, and I'm going to say you were joking when you said that you're getting old and you need naps. No, at 30, you don't need naps. I'm at 50 and I'm not taking naps yet. But your energy is really good. I hope that people believe you. Do you sense that when you're talking to your constituents that they're connecting with you? Do you feel that?
I feel like they're connecting with me, but I feel that if they don't know me, they don't believe me, because a lot of people come to their doors historically over decades or years and say the same thing I'm saying.
Okay.
Right? So, but I think for the people who know me, they know that, like, I'm on city council. I'm trying to do this. I'm working with constituents. I'm trying to make my neighborhood better. Those are the ones I know. You have to show people your track record and be honest to what you're saying for them. So I know offhand they're like, another politician, but I'm hoping that as they get to know me and I can work with some people in my neighborhoods and Trolley Square in the 1st or 2nd district, councilmatic districts, that I'm able to say, hey, I care about whatever you care about. How can we work together? And I'll put up a piece of legislation to show that I care about this particular issue and we can rock out and get this done. So I think I know people up front, because I don't trust politicians. I don't think they come to your door knocking saying they're going to do this and that and the third, and you never see them again or never see them address some of your issues. That's what happens. So I expect to come to the door and not be trusted.
Okay. And I just was wondering, because I know you're new on the scene of the political world anyway, but I just want to make sure that you're connecting, or if you don't sense that you are, then maybe your team can figure out how to connect you a little bit. But I think you are, because you connect. It's like today, this is my first time really sitting down with you, and I feel very connected. I feel that you have purpose. You're going somewhere, and you're not selfish. Politicians are selfish. If it's not going to make me look good, if it's not going to grease my pockets, it ain't going to happen.
Yep.
And I watch when you have people who finance people's campaigns. That's why we're having some of the problems we have in the city of Wilmington, is that their campaigns were financed, and they got to answer. They got to answer. Look, if they vote on something that's not liked upon those who deep pockets they're in, they got to answer for that.
Yep.
But you're unbossed, you're unbought, and I think that's important. And I'm hopeful that as you move forward into your career of public service, that you will continue to do well. This is not going to be your last time on Coffee with Curry, if you don't mind coming back. Before the election, I want you to come back. I don't know how many people they got scheduled, but I want you to come back as we want to talk about how we're doing and what's going on, how things I'm filling out for you in areas. I'm very busy, so I can't say I'm going to get out and knock for you, but I am going to make sure you get a check, and I want you to come back and report whether or not he really gave you a check. Okay? Because if he's a politician like the rest of them, then we don't want to look at him anymore neither. But Shané, it has been a true privilege and pleasure of having you on the show today, and I'm hopeful that you would just ring out and bring other people along who have like mind, because that's important for now.
I agree.
I'm going to give you this time to share anything you want to share with the Wilmington community. This is your moment.
Yes. I want to first say thank you for having me on the show. I enjoy speaking and connecting with different residents and different people in the community. So I just want to say, Wilmington, I'm doing this for y'all. I love my community where I grew up, and I'm willing to put you first on a state level, on a city level, on a community level. So I just want to say thank you guys for this opportunity. I want to say thank you for all the people who support me. I get a lot of love, even though there's some hate and chatter, but I get a lot of love from my community who reminds me to stand up and to be firm in what I believe and what I know is best for the community. So I just want to say thank you for believing in me. Because some days I'm like, oh, these people voted for me. Like, y'all believe in me, right? So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be able to be a leader, to be able to serve Wilmington. So that's what I'm here for.
Well, as a mom, as a daughter, as a public servant, you are a good model. And I hope and trust that the people will believe you, give you an opportunity, and then know that I will be on the background saying you're not doing what you're supposed to do if you don't.
Right.
But you got people who are supporting you that may not be able to come out and say it. But here's the truth. The truth is you are a winner. So I'm looking forward to seeing great things from you, and I'm going to invite you back. We'll be right back.
Hello, Wilmington. I am Wilmington City Council member Shané Darby, and I represent the 2nd District. I'm here to share with you a little information about an ordinance I am introducing about housing. As you all know, we have some problems with rental properties and irresponsible landlords who do not follow the rules and do not take care of their properties as they should. We on City Council have an active role to play to address this problem. So to help with this problem, the proposed ordinance will require written notice and an opportunity to appeal before giving a civil fine to landlords who fail to get a business license for their rental properties. What does this ordinance do? Well, landlords are required to obtain a business license for their rental properties or pay a $500 fine if they fail to get one. This ordinance gives landlords a notice if they fail to obtain a business license and an opportunity to appeal and voluntarily comply prior to paying the fine. So why does this matter? It is essential for landlords to get a business license and register their rental property in order to keep track of rental stock and to make sure it is clean and safe. The goal is not to collect fines from landlords, but to ensure compliance of the requirement. So what needs to happen for this to become law? The Community Development and Urban Planning must vote this ordinance out of committee, and that happened. Then it must be voted on by all members of City Council during a full body meeting. I'm working hard to help improve the quality of housing options for Wilmington. I love to hear from the community. If you have feedback, see some problems, or have suggestions, please call me at the City Council office at 302-576-2140. Thanks, Wilmington. My name is Shané Darby, and I'm the 2nd District City Council member.
And we're back. Well, normally on my worship service, I always come in saying, my. Well, let me tell you, what a great interview. What a great opportunity to see the heart of the person who have moved her intellect from her head to her heart. That's the Black community for real. That's the strength of our community. Being able to go and educate yourself, move your intellect from your head to your heart. It was a great interview. I hope you trust, and I hope you will be supportive. Don't be so connected to people who are giving you nothing. Be connected to people who will move forward. We must live beyond the generation we are currently in. We must make sure that Wilmington is saved. Regentrification is real and it's happening. We must stand up and we must understand what we must do in order to save Wilmington. Now, for those of you who feel like it is what it is, I don't know what to say to you, but for those of you who really want your grandchildren, who want your children to have life after yours, it's time for a shift and it's time for a change. So I want to say to all of you who've been watching me today, this has been a great interview, and I thank you for the time that we shared together today. Until the next time, God bless.